Hello viewers, welcome back to our new video named pentose phosphate pathway. In the previous two videos, we have discussed about the two metabolic pathway, the two important metabolic pathway, that was glycolysis and second TC cycle, which is also known as the Krebs cycle. Now further, we're going to discuss about the third main cycle named pentose phosphate pathway, and we will also know why it is useful for our body. So first we will know what is pentose phosphate pathway. It is also known as hexose monophosphate shunt, that is HMP shunt, or phosphogluconate pathway. It is an alternate pathway to glucose oxidation. That is, it is a pathway through which glucose gets oxidized. The first pathway was a glycolysis, and another from that is pentose phosphate pathway. Now, the enzymes of HMP shunt are located in the cytosols and in the plastids, whereas it has two primary functions. First, to provide NADPH for the reductive of biosynthesis. So we can say the first primary function is to the formation of NADPH so that the reductive biosynthesis may occur. And the second one is to provide ribose 5-phosphate for the synthesis of nucleotide and nucleic acid. Now, the sequence of reaction of HMP shunt is divided into two phases. First, oxidative phase, and second, non-oxidative phase. This phase is also known as NADH dependent reaction, and it is irreversible in nature. This phase is the process of removal of the hydrogen. Okay, and the second phase, the non-oxidative phase, is reversible in nature. This phase works on the absence of oxygen, that is in anaerobic condition. In this phase, carbon gets breakdown, which is called carbon sulfling, and provide glucose 6-phosphate. The glucose 6-phosphate was also involved, or the product we get in glycolysis too. Okay, so now how the cycle begins. So in oxidative phase, the net product we get, or the net product generate, is the 2 moles of NADPH and 1 oxidation of carbon molecule to CO2 and the synthesis of 1 mole of pentose phosphate. So here you can see glucose 6-phosphate gets converted into 6-phosphogluconolactone. Here the NADP plus gets converted into NADPH, which we require, and here the enzyme used is glucose 6, where we write G6P. It means glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase magnesium plus, the enzyme. Now from here 6-phosphogluconolactone gets converted into 6-phosphogluconate, and here the hydrogen, the water molecule, gets converted into a free hydrogen molecule, and the enzyme used is gluconolactonase. And at last this 6-phosphogluconate gets eventually converted into ribulose 5-phosphate, and NADP plus gets converted into NADPH, release of the CO2 which we required, the 1 carbon molecule, and 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase used. So the main conclusion in this oxidative phosphate is to require, or the generation of, 2 moles of NADPH. There is the 2 moles here, you see 1 and 2, the 2 moles of NADPH, 1 mole of pentose phosphate, the 5-phosphate, it is the pentose phosphate, and the 1 CO2 carbon molecule. Now this cycle, the oxidative cycle, repeats 3 times. So all the product we get is into 3. Okay, so in pentose phosphate pathway oxidation, glucose 6-phosphate utilizes the NADP plus. It utilizes this NADP plus rather than NAD plus, which produces CO2 in glycolysis process. If you remember, it utilizes NAD plus for the production of the CO2. So here we use NADP plus for the production of NADPH, and the main differences is this, that when this NADP plus gets converted into NADPH, there is a release of CO2. But in the glycolysis, when NAD plus gets converted into NADP plus, then it doesn't produces the CO2. So this is the main differences, that it produces CO2, and in that glycolysis the CO2 does not produce. And similarly, ATP is generated, which is the major product of a glycolysis, and therefore this is known as a alternative pathway of glycolysis. As the oxidative phase cycle runs 3 times, so we can say what we get is a 3 glucose 6 phosphate, 3 6 lactone, sorry, 3 6 phosphogluconate, as well as 3 ribulose 5 phosphate, right? That's what we get 3 times. But the main product of our is glucose 6 phosphate. What we concentrate is glucose 6 phosphate, 6 phosphogluconolactonate, and ribulose 5 phosphate. Okay, so here is the second phase, that is a reversible phase, and it is a non-oxidative phase. Okay, so I have told before that it works on the absence of oxygen, and here carbon gets breakdown. Okay, therefore this phase is called carbon suffering, and again glucose 6 phosphate forms. So how it works in oxidative phosphate, here you can see there is a code word. There is G6P, 6PG, RUFP. So I can say what it is. So here you can see the G6P denotes glucose 6 phosphate, 6PG denotes 6 phosphogluconate, RUFP denotes ribulose 5 phosphate, XUFP denotes xylose 5 phosphate, RFP denotes ribose 5 phosphate, whereas G3P denotes glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, E4P denotes erythrose 4 phosphate, S7P denotes pseudoheptulose 7 phosphate, whereas F6P denotes fructose 6 phosphate, and the two TK transcatolase and TA transaldolase. So this is the full form of the code words. Now it will make you easier to understand what these are. So here you can see glucose 6 phosphate, 6 phosphogluconate, and ribulose 5 phosphate. So the cycle of it, this is the cycle of this much. You can see the red box. This much is the cycle of oxidative phosphorylation. As that cycle runs 3 times, so we get the 3 glucose 6 phosphate, 3 6 phosphogluconate, and ribulose 5 phosphate. Now from here, the second cycle, non-oxidative phase, proceed. Here you can see the ribulose 5 phosphate gets converted into xylose 5 phosphate in the presence of epimerase. Now epimerase is the change of the configuration, that is D to L form. The formula gets same. Example, glucose to galactose. Okay, so here ribulose 5 phosphate gets converted into xylose 5 phosphate in the presence of epimerase, and in this isomerase are used, which converts ribulose phosphate to ribose 5-phosphate. Here configuration and the formula both changes. Therefore, there is an isomerase. And in the third, again epimerase are used. Therefore, xylose 5-phosphate form. Now, from here, again 3 times. So here xylose 5-phosphate gets converted into pseudoheptulose 7-phosphate in the presence of trans-ketolase. What is the trans-ketolase used for? It is the transfer of aldehyde group to keton group. So here aldehyde group, when aldehyde group from xylose 5-phosphate gets converted into keton group, it forms pseudoheptulose 7-phosphate. And here ribose 5-phosphate gets converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Again T trans-ketolase are used. And from here pseudoheptulose 7-phosphates get converted in the presence of TA, that is trans-aldolase, to fructose 6-phosphate, and this G3P, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, gets converted into erythrose 4-phosphate. And what is TA, trans-aldolase? Is the transfer of keton group to aldehyde group. Trans-ketolases convert aldehyde to keton, and trans-aldolase converts keton to aldehyde. So again, this here its keton group gets converted into aldehyde group, therefore fructose 6-phosphate form. And here glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate aldehyde group, keton group gets converted into aldehyde group, so erythrose 4-phosphate form. Now this is the irreversible process where glucose 6-phosphate forms from fructose 6-phosphate. Hope you remember the glycolysis process, so it will be easier for you to understand how fructose 6-phosphate gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate. And here erythrose 4-phosphate gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of trans-ketolase, and here xylose 5-phosphate gets directly converted to glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of trans-ketolase. How? This process and this process are same. Therefore, I have done this because it in the presence of trans-ketolase you will form pseudoheptulase, and you know the rest. So this process is repeated on this. So here at last glucose 6-phosphate form. Now, why this pentose phosphate pathway runs or occurs? It occurs because for the formation of NADPH, okay, which serves as a source of electrons for the reduction of molecules during biosynthesis, and the formation of 4 or 5 carbon sugars, that is ribose 5-phosphate, erythrose 4-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, and for the production of these. Why for this? Because the 4 carbon sugar, that is the erythrose 4-phosphate, are useful for the synthesis of aromatic amino acids and vitamin B6, which is called as pyridoxal. And in the further I will discuss about what is the aromatic amino acid and how various types of amino acids. So this E4P, that's erythro 4-phosphate, the 4 carbon sugar, are useful for the formation of pyridoxal, that's vitamin B6, and aromatic amino acids. And the pentose 5-phosphate, that is R5P, ribose 5-phosphate, the 5-phosphate is a major component of nucleic acid, that is nucleic acid synthesis. And the ribulose 5-phosphate, 1,5-bisphosphate, are the CO2 acceptor in photosynthesis. And rest the intermediates in this cycle are used to produce the ATP, that is the main source for the glycolysis also. Okay, so this is the pentose phosphate pathway where our main focus is to produce the NADPH, CO2, and the ribose 5-phosphate for the functions and the process for functions and the synthesis of various amino acids and the biosynthetic nucleic acid nucleotide products, as well as the formation of glucose 6-phosphate for the for the occur of glycolysis. So this pathway runs for three stages, and the formation occurs in the presence of transcatalase and the transacetaldolase. So in the next stage, this is here the pentose phosphate pathway ends, and the next pathway where we will learn gluconeogenesis. That is why we require glucose 6 phosphate again. Look, we have get glucose 6 phosphate in the glycolysis process too. So why this pentose phosphate pathway is required for the glucose 6 phosphate? If you remember, in glycolysis, here you can see there is a glycolysis. Glucose 6 phosphate, when converted into fructose 6 phosphate, there is a reversible process. It is reversible in nature. That is, fructose 6 phosphate can easily get back and form glucose 6 phosphate. Okay, so why we require glucose 6 phosphate in another way, because it further gets converted into fructose 6 phosphate and fructose 1 6 bisphosphate. So we require glucose 6 phosphate again. So pentose phosphate pathway runs alternatively in the glycolysis, so that glucose 6 phosphate may remain in our stack, so that gluconeogenesis process may begins. This is the useful for the formation or the occur of the gluconeogenesis. So in our next module or our next session, we will see what is the gluconeogenesis, and after that our all metabolic pathway will be finished. So in my last video, I will give the link of the rest 3 cycle which we discussed, and I would like to remember you again to like and subscribe our video and our channel, so that you may get the updates. So in next module, we will see what is the gluconeogenesis process, and our metabolic pathway will finish. And in after that, we will discuss about various amino acids and their functions. So that's from my side. Thank you.